Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello dear friends, welcome back to NPTEL online course on logistics and supply chain management. So today we'll start discussion on very important topic of supply chain management, or you can say logistics area, which is transportation management. In the initial session, maybe in week 2, we discussed a little bit about transportation and the related KPIs, where we need to target those performance indicators and how we can keep the benchmarks, right? So now we'll have the detailed discussion about when we are picking about the mode of transportation, how we can design the best routes, and then we'll discuss about the form of linear programming, how we can optimize the transportation factor, where we will minimize the total transportation cost, right? So maybe 2-3 sessions we'll have on this transportation management. So in this session we will discuss about the major components of transportation decision, and then we will talk about the load, key aspects of load, and then fleet selection. We will talk about mode of transportation and what are the logistics flow, although we have discussed already, but just quick review of that. We will do that in related to transportation management, because when we will make those decisions, so that information is very important, right? So then we'll see some key aspects of route planning in transportation. We'll end this session with the case study, right? So transportation, now we are well equipped with this concept, and we know that wherever when we are talking about transporting the raw material from the vendors to the manufacturing system or factory, or we can say when the finished good is completed, then the distribution or the transportation of that finished good to the end market, and from where, if we are talking about the doorstep delivery of the product, then also transportation will play important role there, right? So talking about this transportation, we need to discuss first about the load, right? What are the load requirements? Then that load requirements, not only we can generalize with how much weight we are carrying, right? Sometimes the size of the product is also very important. Sometimes the nature of the product what we are transporting is also very important. The volume of the product we are transporting is also very important. So we'll discuss different aspects under load. Second point is the mode of transportation. So we have seen that with respect to the requirements from the customer side, you are going to pick different types of mode. If you want quick transportation of the product, obviously you will go for air transportation. If you want maybe doorstep end mile delivery, then maybe road is the only option you can go for. If you are talking about most efficient way economically, then maybe ship transportation is the most economical way, right? If you are talking about transporting goods in bulk, maybe then using rail may be the best option, right? So different scenario, different conditions, different mode of transportation we will use. And again, it's not only that this particular product will always go with the air transportation only, right? So we will talk about intermodal transportation, right, where we will try to explore all possibilities of transportation, and we will find the best combination as per the cost, as per the delivery time, as per the quality, as per the product requirements, right, as per the customer requirements as well. Then flow, we will talk about what is flowing, means obviously the resources are flowing through that network, so how we will manage the flow. And in the end, routing is very important, how we can find the most efficient route, right, so the total cost can be minimized. So talking about load, obviously the quantity and the composition of goods being transported at a given time, right. So then when we are picking the load, obviously the major factors is size and then weight, volume and packaging of the shipments. Having said that, now see, maybe if you are transporting through that container, if you are transporting maybe water tanks, right, 1000 liters water tank if you are transporting, obviously the weight will be very less, right, may not be more than 1 ton. That truck can carry maybe ton 10, but you are only transporting 1 ton because of the size of water tank, and inside you cannot keep anything, right. So that is one type of industry. But let's talk about the other type of industry where we are transporting maybe the steel rods. When we are transporting the steel rods, so obviously maybe we are utilizing only this much space, but then the maximum load capacity 10 ton is exhausted. So then also the requirement of the product as per weight. Volume, maybe if your packaging is like that, you are keeping in different size of boxes you are keeping, right. So maybe in each box, maybe the box size is bigger, but then you are carrying maybe lighter product. Sometimes your box size is smaller, but you are carrying heavier product. So how much volume you are occupying. So that also is a very important factor when deciding for load, right. And then packaging of the shipment, again special packaging requirements. Then product characteristics, if your products are delicate, you cannot keep maybe after that you cannot keep much load on that particular packet, then also you need to consider those constraints. Then maybe demand pattern coming from the different markets, transportation cost, services requirements, right. These are some of the factors we are considering, and we need to ensure that we are not underutilized space is also not there, and also we are not going excess of that capacity, right. So while we are talking about if we load maybe more than 10 ton where the capacity is only 10 ton, so then the chances of accidents, chances of failure, chances of damage of that vehicle, more fuel cost, those factors will be there, right. So we need to maximize during this transportation algorithm, we need to maximize the transportation capacity utilization, minimize the handling cost, and ensure the timely delivery of the goods, right. So the overall supply chain performance will be based on how much we can reduce the transportation cost, and then safely we are ensuring that the products are transferred from one location to the other location. So key aspects of load size, obviously the amount of cargo or goods, load size, that dimensions, maybe then I talked about you are transporting the water tank, right. So then you are just keeping in mind the size of the package, right. When you are talking about carrying the steel rods, then you are talking about the weight. So weight in that is load size means deciding factor. So load size decision depends on factors such as product characteristics. Sometimes what we are doing, we are transporting gases from one point to other point. We are transporting maybe the hazardous liquid from one side, one station to other station. Then we need special transportation equipment, right. Then we are using pipeline kind of system where it should be leak proof, and we know that we cannot go for that loading, unloading, and we cannot expose those hazardous material to the outside environment, right. So these are some of the factors when we are saying load size. Load weight, then again the total mass of goods being transported, we need to understand that, right. Overloaded and underloaded both are hampering your efficiency and productivity, right. And if you are overloaded, so because we are bound to those rules and regulations when we are going on the road, right. So that overloaded truck is also then dangerous, right, related to safety, and then maybe those challan and fines will be there, delays, and increased transportation cost will be there, and moreover overloaded, more wear and tear will be there in the vehicle. Load volume, volume is the space occupied by goods in a shipment, right. So what we are doing, we are trying to uniform the packet size we are delivering, right. So when we have uniform packet size, we can utilize the space maximum. But you just imagine online e-commerce market, when we are talking about we are shipping different size of packets from morning to evening, because if you will try to find, if you are transporting maybe one this marker, this slide pointer, then the size of the packaging will be different. If you are transporting grocery items, size will be different. Transporting mobile item, home appliances, anything if you are transporting. So if you are saying Amazon A to Z items they are transporting, maybe the cubic size they are, the volume that is required to ship the products may be different. So then what we are doing, we try to uniform as much as possible, or if not possible we are utilizing these techniques like palletization or maybe stacking, where we come up with one pallet size or maybe one stack of uniform size, and then we can ensure the maximum utilization of the container capacity, right. Load packaging. So this involves a method of packaging goods and transportation to ensure they are adequately protected and secured during the transit, right. So packaging is the first phase when you are shifting your product or shipping your product to the customer. So if your packaging is damaged, the first impression is maybe the product is also damaged. Sometimes people are so much then they are getting that impression that even without opening that package they are just returning the product because the packaging is damaged, right. So this is important, then you need to prevent all the damages or spoilage of the goods or theft, right. So that packaging material you need to ensure, which can ensure the safe transportation of that product from one end to other end. Then load composition. See what in the last slide I was talking about, if not possible we have different size of packets. So how we can that can be one opportunity as well. If we are packing maybe in one truck all the big boxes, and maybe then there is small space is left, so we cannot, obviously if we are shipping the same product in that truck, so that small space cannot be utilized. So if we are shipping mixer of maybe the product, if we are consolidating different size packaging, so somewhere we can utilize that space also. Let's recall the example of transporting empty water tank. So is there any material we can put inside the empty water tank and then we can transport, so that if truck is carrying only 1 ton, how we can maybe ensure that it is carrying maybe 2 tons, 3 tons. But then we need to keep in mind that whether we are damaging that water tank, the primary product we are transporting, that we also need to ensure, right. So I mean, if we can consolidate different products, right, and then the safety can also be ensured, so then in somehow we can improve the efficiency, right. Load balancing. So there is one parameter, that is axle weight distribution. If you travel through air, you might have seen that during when you are putting your cabin bag inside the aeroplane, so if one side most of the baggage are there, so there is instruction coming from the air hostess that we need to uniformly distribute so that the balance can be made, right. And same goes with the vehicle we are carrying the products on the road, right. So if there is heavy products are kept on one side and then lighter products are kept on one side, chances of accidents, if not accidents, then maybe there will be damage, more wear and tear, and then more fuel consumption will be there. So anyhow we need to ensure the center of gravity optimization, right. So we need to distribute the load inside the container uniformly. So selection for fleet selection for load, what are the factors we are considering? Transportation demand, considering the historical transportation data, what are the market trends, the demand forecasting, how the people are buying, in what quantity they are buying, and how frequently they are buying, then you can go for designing the capacity of the fleet, what type of fleet is required. Service level requirement, if your customers are buying quickly in small quantities, so maybe you need to quickly replenish the inventory, right. So how you can do that? Then different fleet requirements will be there. You need to minimize the delivery times, right, and then frequency of purchasing, also very frequently they are purchasing, and also flexibility is required. So keeping all those factors, the service level requirement from the customer, you need to go for either by air or end mile delivery through road, or maybe through ship, where large consignments you can ship through using ship, and then maybe the local delivery can be done using the end mile delivery, maybe using the road transportation only. Then geographical coverage is also very important point when we are talking about selecting the fleet, right? I have seen, being from hilly area, I have seen that when especially talking about automobile industry, when usually those transportation agencies, they are transporting the bikes from maybe from Delhi to those part of Himachal or Uttarakhand, right? So up to one point, the long container, large containers may be carrying more than 500 bikes, they are coming, right, up to one point. And then after that, because of the curbs, road condition and hilly area, and that cannot be transported using the same vessel, so what they are doing, they are shifting that those bikes to maybe multiple containers, and then from there they are transporting to the their agents, right? So this is how geographical reasons are also sometimes putting restrictions, and then the local conditions, weather conditions, traffic conditions, all those things are there. Then cargo characteristics, already I talked about the nature, size, weight and characteristics of whatever product you are carrying, that also requires some specific vehicles, right? So we need to pick those kind of vehicles only to ensure the transportation, safe transportation. Redundancy and flexibility. So even if any disruption is there due to unforeseen events or disasters or any fluctuation in the market, right, how you can flexibly design the capacity of your transportation system, so that if there is minimum demand, you can meet that demand optimally with minimum cost, and if there is peak in the demand, so that also you can ensure. Cost consideration, total cost of ownership, not only the transportation cost, from one point to other point you need to consider all the cost, fuel cost, maintenance cost, wear and tear cost, operational cost, depreciation cost of the assets like vehicle you are using, everything you need to consider. Technology and optimization, obviously if we are taking those data driven decisions, if we are picking routes, let's say, if that is also supported by your some software, so then subjectivity, all that can be removed, right? So whatever parameters we have set, the distance, maybe the weather conditions, maybe the road conditions, maybe the if we will talk about the overall performance parameters, right? So those parameters we are configuring within our software, and software is helping us to pick the best route. So that is kind of data driven decisions, right? So how we can use those kind of softwares to ensure that delivery, right? Then regulatory compliance, I talked about overloading. If overloading is done, so that is also one check you need to do. And then the manpower you are utilizing, the qualification, hour of services, if for long time they are driving, then chances of accidents are more, right? Then time to time vehicle services, all those environmental standards you need to meet. Sometime what is happening in some regions, the entry of maybe BS3, BS4 engines are restricted, right? So in that case, how you need to transport only using the BS5 or 7 engines, right? So that also you need to, means whatever the local regulations are there related to transportation industry, you need to meet those regulations. Scalability and growth. So any changing business needs, market conditions or expansion opportunities should be fully exploited. If you see any opportunity is there for the expansion, for the growth, so how you can scale up your transportation system to provide the services in that area. So whether your fleet selection is sufficient or done meticulously, that it can address the needs to meet those expansion requirements or not. So if you are saying that maybe in Calcutta up to 100 kilometers around Calcutta we are doing same day delivery. So whether your transportation network is flexible enough, can be scalable, that if we want to deliver within same day up to 150 kilometer, means we want to add 50 kilometer more area, can we do that? We want to add maybe 100 kilometer more area, can we do that, right? So here is one example. We can see we have the location from where we are shipping the products, and we have 3 different cities where we want to ship the products, Topeka and Kansas and Wichita. So depending upon the day 1 requirements, it is written that how many pounds are required. As per that, we can see now how we can do this transportation part with minimum cost. So if I'll calculate day wise separately the requirements, so obviously whatever is the requirement, load requirement and rate, you just multiply, you will get the cost, right? So this is for this much volume we are transporting, you can just see this much volume is required, and the transportation cost you can consider, right? So rate is 3.42, so this is the total cost. Same for this city, we need to transport 70 pound, and then the rate is this much. So this is how we can calculate the total cost for day 1 transporting to all these 3 cities. If I'll same way I'll calculate for day 2 for all those 3 cities, so then again the day 2 as per your load requirement, your total cost of transportation will shift, right? Because if you are adding more units up to the maximum capacity, if full truckload can take this much, so if you are somewhere utilizing maybe out of 400, if you are utilizing 200 only, so obviously per unit cost will be little higher. If we will go ship 250 items, the per unit cost will be little low. If I will ship 300 items, it will be reduced further, right? So as long as we are increasing the capacity utilization within the same container, per unit cost will reduce. So same day we can calculate the total cost for day 3, and if all the days for all 3 cities I'll add, this is the total cost $2,350, right? What if I'll consolidate these orders from these 3 cities and for 3 days? So for each day I'm going to consolidate. For 3 days from Topeka city, the total quantity required is 480. So rate will be, per unit cost will be this much. So this is the total cost, reduced cost will be there. And for Kansas city 400 units, again the per unit cost is reduced, right? Because we are shifting more units. So then Wichita city, again the number of units are increasing, so that's why per unit cost is reduced. So if I'll calculate, now you can just compare. In case of individual day transportation, the total cost was 2350, but now it is only when we are consolidating. Now there are 2 points when we are doing this. One is, now you are waiting to deliver, or maybe you are waiting to consolidate those orders, and then you are waiting that okay, I'll get for 2 or 3 days order only, then I will process. So lead time will increase. This is one thing. If you are waiting for 3 days, first day you are getting order, you are not shipping, second day you are getting order, you are not shipping, 3 days, now after 3 days you are consolidating all the orders, then you are shifting. This will increase lead time. But let's say the another approach is, only the first day I am shipping, forecasting that next 2 days this demand will be like this, now I am shipping on the very first day for all 3 days. So that means then I will be holding extra inventory, so then inventory cost will be there. So these 2 parameters you need to keep in mind when you are consolidating. But yes, consolidation is still a good strategy we can use, but then only you need to take care of these 2 points. Then mode of transportation. So we have discussed a little bit in the initial interaction the mode of transportation and what are the limitation advantages of each mode. But then when you are picking these mode of transportation, either road, rail, air, water or pipeline, so we have few things. Distance, if you are transporting through long distance, maybe international, maybe ship will be the best strategy, and also you will get the infrastructure, right? So if the distance is very small, maybe you are shifting only by road, so in between maybe you are using, if that frequent, or maybe quick delivery is required, maybe you will go through air shipment, right? Transit time, how much time is there? The maximum time you have, and then you are transporting through long distance, maybe ship is the best option. Okay. Cost, if you are talking about cost, maybe ship you will go as per the cost, and maybe the next option may be you will ship using train, right? Reliability also you need to keep in mind, because when you are talking about transporting through ship, you need to depend upon the weather conditions. That also happens with the air transportation as well, and somewhere if your roads are going through hilly area, then also your transportation is interrupted. Safety of the material you are shifting is also important feature you are deciding. If you are talking about environmental sustainability, then using ship is the best option, because minimum carbon footprint will be there. So quickly we'll go through the road transportation. When you are transporting through roads or streets, and the best advantage of this is you can ensure door to door delivery, right? Flexibility, accessibility, drop off locations can be so many, but if you are going through air or ship, there can be only one drop off location, right, where you are going to drop all the products. From there you need maybe road transportation again. So you can ensure the last mile delivery using the road transportation. Okay. And when you are talking about taking perishable items and the quick raw material you need, then you will go using road transportation only. So advantages: quick transit time, frequent service options, and remote location also you have only this option. And when we are talking about just in time delivery or small shipment, you can go by road only. When we are talking about using sea, so then ship, so then you need to consolidate orders, large quantity. But again, challenges are there: traffic condition, weather condition, regulatory restrictions are there. Sometimes maybe trucks cannot operate in the day hours, during the duty hours, right? So just to maintain the traffic, those many conditions are there when we are talking about big cities, right? But yes, another challenge is higher cost per mile, more than 3 rupees per kilometer or 4 rupees per kilometer, right? So that is one challenge. Talking about rail transport, so this involves, obviously the medium is the mode is train, right? And then if we'll talk about the main characteristic, it is suitable for long distance shipment, bulk cargo, and heavy goods, right? So it offers high capacity, energy efficiency, and cost effectiveness for large volumes. So all the industry items are usually shipped within one country using train network only. So lower fuel consumption and lesser carbon emission, talking about the advantages. But then again, when we talk about the transportation, this infrastructure, train infrastructure, everywhere it is not there, right? Then to reach to that point, maybe we need to go by road only, and where the train is dropping the product, again we need to use the road transportation. So longer transit time, keeping in mind especially in countries like India or China, where the traffic, train traffic is also managing is a very big challenge, right? So then it takes long lead time to ship the product from one end to other end. So maritime transportation using ships, already I talked about when we are shifting bulk cargo, commodities and goods over long distance. When high capacity is required, you want to minimize the cost, you want to take care of the sustainability parameters, all those advantages are there, and it is economically as well, right? But the challenges are whether we have infrastructure from one point to other point, that is not possible. Then again, weather condition, port congestion, all those things are there. So again, it is supported by road transportation only. Air transportation, speed, reliability, global connectivity, those points are there. Advantages: quick delivery, right? So lead time you can reduce, you can maintain the perishable items, then fast delivery, quality of the product can be retained, right? But challenge is higher transportation cost. And then again, this mode of transportation also depends on road transportation for the end mile delivery. Pipeline transportation, when we are talking about these kind of liquid gases or maybe hazardous material, so then we are using pipelines or conduits, right, to transport the material from one end to other end. So usually this is a very specific kind of transportation mode we are using in petroleum industry, natural gas, chemical industries, right. So it is economical, right, it is economical, but yes, the challenge is when there is a leakage in the pipeline. So then it becomes hazardous for the general environment, so that can spread in the environment and can infect the whole environment, that we need to take care. So intermodal transportation, as when we are talking about, you know, to be more effective and efficient, so only thing is how we can use the mix of all those different types of modes, right. So wherever it is possible, we should go for maximum transportation using ship, right, to optimize efficiency, cost effectiveness and service quality. When we are talking about quick service, we can go for end mile delivery using your special fleet, your road transportation. When we are talking about quick delivery overseas, we can go via air, right. So those many things. So that means from one end to other end, from the point of origin to point of consumption, if we need to transport the product, we need to use all the possible transportation mode. As we have seen that everywhere we need transportation, road transportation, right. So those all points we need to keep in mind when we are picking different modes. So here is another example. You can just see the finished goods are to be shipped from a plant inventory to a warehouse inventory some distance away, and this is the per year volume to be shipped. Product worth is $25 per libra or pounds, and then the plant and carrying cost are 30% per year. We have rate, we have how much time is required. You can see by rail 25 days, by truck 13 days, by air 1 day, and this is the maximum ship size we can carry in rail, truck and by air. So if I'll quickly calculate transportation cost, obviously per unit cost, total units you are transporting throughout the year, you multiply that cost you can get easily for rail, for truck, for air. You can see here for rail it is minimum. In transit inventory, how much inventory you are taking, so that per inventory carrying cost is 30%, right, and then 25 is the product berth. This is how many products we are carrying. Here for rail we are taking 25 days, for truck we are taking 13 days, for air we are taking only 1 day. So just you can multiply, divide by 365 days in a year, you can calculate the in transit inventory cost, right. Plant inventory, again how much inventory you are carrying, average inventory, so that also you can calculate. Inventory carrying cost is 30%, this much is the product berth per unit, these many units you are transporting, average you can calculate the total cost. Warehouse inventory also in the same way you can calculate, multiply by the berth of the product per unit cost and inventory carrying cost, so that is 30%. So you can see if I will calculate for rail, this is somewhere here, for truck by road it is minimum, right, by air it is the maximum, but truck is not sustainable, so it is the carbon emission is the highest in case of you are going through road transportation, right, but it is providing you cheaper option. If you will go by ship, if another option I will add, that will be most economical as per the cost, as per the your carbon footprints. So we have already discussed about the logistics flow components, physical flow of the goods, how the products are you know flowing through that supply chain from one end to other end, from origin to the consumption, and maybe some returns from consumption and to the origin also coming back, maybe after the usage of the product, or maybe in terms of return if customers are simply not liking that product. That is one component, already we have discussed this, so just quick review of that. Then information is another component, logistic component, which is flowing through this network, and then again flowing back from the customer end in terms of we want to predict the demand, if we want to plan the inventory, order processing, decision making, any extra features you are adding, that information will flow from the customer end to the manufacturing end. Then financial flow is another thing. If you are going through online e-commerce platform, so delivery, at the time of delivery only you are getting the cash, but if you are going through retail stores where maybe on credit also you are selling the goods, then it may take sometimes more time to liquidate your assets, and sometimes maybe the loss of those assets is also possible if the customer is not paying back in time, right? That is also another point. Reverse flow also we talked about, when products are not liked by the customer, those products are simply they are sending back, so that returns, repairs, recycle, or after the disposal if customer have used that, so that also you need to maintain. So this return flow is also very important to keep customer satisfaction and loyalty at highest level. So then the next point is, so just these quick 3 flows we discussed in detail, right? So just had a quick overview of that. Aspects of route planning in transportation. Now talking about route planning, this involves the strategic selection of the optimal transportation route, and that depends upon factors like distance, time, cost, capacity, and mode of transportation, right? So basically route, we have different number of factories, we have different number of markets. We need to decide from which market from which factory will supply to which market. So right, this is route planning, and will consider all the cost, total cost of ownership from one point to other point, and the decision will be made how we can minimize the total transportation cost, right? And also the transit time can be reduced, optimizes the resources utilization. Obviously if we will take care of the total transportation cost, everything will be managed. But yes, then challenges are in terms of traffic, road condition, weather condition, regulatory restrictions, and geopolitical considerations as well. This is what I was talking about. This is the example of, we have 3 suppliers, we have 3 factories. Now this supplier is supplying to this factory, and this factory as well, right? So maybe supplying the product same number of quantity to this factory may be cheaper, but to this factory may be costlier because of the transportation distance. Can we manage all the supplies related to this factory from supply C to plant 3? Because we can minimize the total cost. So we have algorithm where we are writing here all the sources, we are writing the demand, and then we are finding out the minimum possible cost, how we can transport this material from one end to other end, and we can minimize the total transportation cost. So in the coming sessions we will discuss this in detail, how we can use that transportation algorithm to minimize the total transportation cost. So how to make better transport decisions? So we can see US companies spend more than $600 billion on transportation per year, but this is not including the cost where they are spending more than $1 billion on managing the platforms, software solutions, acquiring the software solutions, and software solution like warehouse management system, like transportation management system, they are applying those solutions so that the transportation distance cost can be minimized, right? So anything, if you through your retail channel, if you are saving time, that is money. How you can save time? By reducing the transportation time. How you can minimize the transportation time? By minimizing the transportation distance. If you are doing that, you can minimize the overall cost. Here are some successful example where you can see the Polaroid Corporation uses TM solution coming from high jump software to obtain a least cost carrier, right? How they can pick the best fleet option, they are using this software, and then from where manufacturing plants to retailer, they are in US and Canada, they are using that software to implement the solution. Tree of Life is another distributor of food packets, right? So they have improved their inbound freight efficiency from 55% to 75%, and the credit goes to again transportation management software from JDA software. There is another software given by Lean Logistics, right? TMS solution used by Orange Glow to improve the on-time delivery rate. So you can we can conclude here, this data-driven decisions are required to minimize the total transportation cost, and just on fingers we cannot calculate which route will take minimum time, minimum distance, and minimum cost. So we can deploy these kind of softwares to find out the best carrier option and how we can minimize the total transportation cost from carrier selection to routing and scheduling. So that's all from this session. In the next session, we will discuss about the transportation decision, how we can make the reduce the total transportation cost by implementing transportation algorithm. So these are the references, books. You can use Operation Research by Taha and because this is chapter of Operation Research, your transportation management, right? Then resource management technique is another book, then Operation Research is another book. These are some of the references you can go for. So that's all. Thank you very much.